Hi everybody. Our lecture today includes reviewing the techniques of communicative language teaching. Of course, it is a review to the techniques that we have explained in our previous lectures related to communicative language teaching or the communicative approach. The first point that I'm going to start with is the idea related to the use of authentic materials. I have emphasized the importance of authentic materials in different places in our explanation of communicative language teaching. Now, we say that authentic materials are very important in or to be presented in communicative language classrooms for two reasons. Number one, they help to overcome the typical problem that students cannot transfer what they learn in the classroom to the outside world. So, the students understand how language is used naturally by being exposed to authentic language material. And two, to expose students to natural language, how language is used naturally in different situations or in real life situations. The class we have observed was a high intermediate level. Here we have a point which is related to the level in which authentic materials are used. Sometimes authentic materials are difficult to be explained for students or in some specific levels. For example, the newspaper article, which is explained as we have observed in the experience of communicative language teaching, might be difficult for some students. They cannot understand it. That's why we should deal or select the authentic material according to the student's level. For students with lower proficiency in the target language, it might not be possible to use authentic language materials such as the newspaper articles. That's why we need to use simplified authentic materials like weather forecast when working on prediction. Also, we have menus in the target language and timetables, where they represent examples of simplified authentic materials that can be presented to students in lower levels. The most important idea about authentic material that they are supposed to be provided with a communicative intent. That's the aim of providing authentic material is to help the students to communicate naturally or to expose them to natural language. Two, scramble sentences. Another activity that we have explained previously is scramble sentences. The students are given a passage, a text, in which sentences are in a scrambled order. The text may be a passage they have worked with or one they have not seen before. They are told to unscramble the sentences so that the sentences are restored to their original order. This type of exercise teaches students about the cohesion and coherence properties of language. Previously, we mentioned that cohesion and coherence related to discourse competence, which is considered as one of the aspects of a student's communicative competence. The students learn how sentences are bound together at the suprasentential level through formal linguistic devices such as pronouns, which make a text cohesive, and semantic propositions which unify a text and make it coherent. So, unscrambled sentences or this technique is related to developing the student's ability in cohesion and coherence, that is, their ability to connect the number of sentences according to grammar and according to meaning and content. Next, we have language games. We have explained the idea of language games previously, but now what I want to know about language games, that number one, students find them enjoyable. And if they are properly designed, they give students valuable communicative practice. What is new about language games is that games are considered as truly communicative activities because they have three features of true communicative activities, which are or they include information gap, choice, and feedback. So these three features are available in language games, and this makes language games as to be considered as a true communicative activity. Another activity which is used in communicative language teaching is picture strip story. In this activity, one student in a small group was given a strip story. She showed the first picture of the story to the members of her group and asked them to predict what the second picture would look like. In this activity, we have also the three features of true communicative activities: information gap, choice, and feedback. Number one, an information gap existed. The students in the group did not know what the picture contained. Number two, the students had a choice as to what their prediction would be and how they would word it. For example, what they predict and how they arrange their prediction. Also, we have the third feature, which is which is feedback. The students received feedback not on the form but on the content of the prediction, because as we have mentioned that meaning and content is more important than structure. By being able to view the picture and compare it with their predictions. So another activity which is considered as true communicative activity is picture strip story, because it includes the three features: information gap, choice, and feedback. Role play. Role play is another activity which is used in the classroom, conducted according to communicative language teaching. Role plays are very important in CLT because they give students an opportunity to practice communicating in different social contexts and in different social roles. Thus, in role play, we work on the development of another aspect of students' communicative competence, which is the students' sociolinguistic competence. In role plays, we have different types or two types. Number one, they can be very structured. In this case, the teacher tells the students who they are, and what they should say. But we have a less structured role plays in which the teacher tells the students only who they are, what the situation is, and what they are talking about. But the students determine what they will say. This is the type which is preferable in communicative language teaching because it gives the students more of a choice. So in this case, they provide information gaps since the students cannot be sure, as with most forms of communication, what the other person or people will say. There is natural unpredictability, and students also receive feedback on whether or not they have communicated effectively. So, role play is one of the activities which are considered as true communicative activities because they have three features: information gap, choice, and feedback. What is meant by truly communicative activities? Activities that are truly communicative, according to Morrow, Johnson, and Morrow, published in 1981, have three features in common: information gap, choice, and feedback. Number one, an information gap exists when one person in an exchange knows something the other person doesn't know. If we both know today is Tuesday and I ask you what is today and you answer Tuesday, our exchange is not really communicative because here we don't have information gap. In order to have a communicative activity, there should be a an information gap. The other idea in true communicative activities is choice. In communication, the speaker has a choice of what she will say and how she will say it. If the exercise is highly controlled so that the students can only say something in one way, the speaker has no choice and the exchange therefore is not communicative. As the situation in chained rule, which is used in audiolingual method, for example, if the student must reply to her neighbor's question in the same way as her neighbor replied to someone else's question, then she has no choice of form and content, and real communication doesn't occur. Since we don't have choice, in this case, the activity is not considered as a communicative activity and we will not have real communication. The last idea, which is related to the features of true communication activities, is the idea which is related to feedback. True communication is purposeful. A speaker can thus evaluate whether or not her purpose has been achieved based upon the information she receives from the listener. If the listener doesn't have an opportunity to provide the speaker with such feedback, then the exchange is not really communicative and we will not have a communicative activity. So these are the three features. What you should know is number one, what are the features of true communication activities and whether each activity that we have explained is a true communicative activity or not. That's all for today and thank you very much.